Hi, this is Beersborn. Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about something called the Z order. Now, the Z order is how we make certain sprites go in front or behind of other sprites. Like if we play our game right now, I have my main character and I have this brick wall. If I go behind the brick wall, it makes sense because my character is covered up by the brick wall. But if my player moves down in space, they should be in front of the wall now, but they're not. The sprite is still behind the brick wall sprite. So we're going to use something called Z order in Construct to make it so when objects are higher up on the screen, they're behind the objects that are lower on the screen. I can show you an example of what that looks like. If you look at this one, where I've already set up the Z order, when I'm behind the wall, my sprite is covered up by the wall. But if I move down, now my sprite is in front of the wall. That's Z order. Now, I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly in the first part of the video. If you're just looking to get caught up or just want to get this part finished, I'll show you exactly what to do. But after that, I'm going to explain why it works. I'll explain like the nuts and bolts and give you kind of a deeper understanding of how Construct uses this idea of a Z order to understand how things are in space. So if you're just looking to get this done, watch the first half. If you want a deeper understanding and to really know how to manipulate this stuff, watch the second half as well. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add what's called a family. I'm going to go over to the project window. That's the window that's on the top right of your screen. We're going to scroll down till we see the word families. We're going to right click on families and we're going to add a family. A family is a group. We can put a bunch of objects together in a family and then we can kind of make events that affect everything that's within that family group. What we're going to add into this family is the enemies. So enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3. We're going to add our main character. We're going to add any walls that you've created. Like I have a middle section and a left and a right section. We're going to add projectiles. My arrow. We're going to add the enemy defeat animation. And that should probably do it. Basically what this family is, it's everything that's visible on the screen. The only thing that I'm not adding are shadows. Because the shadows we're going to have always in the back anyway. We don't need to worry about the shadows. And things that are invisible, like attack hitboxes, the camera, stuff like that. This family is just the physical objects that are visible to the player on the screen. And click OK. Now, this is called Family 1. You can rename it if you want. We're just going to leave it Family 1. Click once on Family 1. Now look over to the left. We see an option to add a family instance variable. Now we've had instance variables for individual objects quite a few times. With a family, we can add an instance variable for everything that's in that family. So let's add a new instance variable. We're going to call this order. And we're going to make the type a number. Now the name doesn't really matter, but I would recommend calling it order because it makes it easier to follow along. Click OK. Now let's go over to our event sheet. And we're going to add an event. We're going to go to System. I'm going to go to every tick, which means basically constantly. So every fraction of a second, we're going to add an action for our family. Double click on family. What we're going to do is go down to the instance variables section, and we're going to go to set value. What I want to do is for order, I'm going to set the value to the word self, period, y. And I'll explain what this stuff means in the second half of the video. Click Done. Now let's add a second action. We're going to go to System, and we're going to click on Sort Z Order. We're going to click on Object. We're going to do the entire family, and the instance variable, keep it as order. And that's it. It's just one event with two actions. Family 1, set the order to self.y, and then System, sort the Z order for family by order. Now, if you try that out, it should work. Your player should be able to move behind the wall, and then down and in front of the wall. So that's the quick tutorial on how to make that work. Now let's talk about why it works and what it actually means. In Construct, it uses 3 different measurements to track where things are on the screen: X, Y, and Z. Now, we've talked about X before. What X means is the left to right measurement of any kind of object's position. You can actually see the X number. If you look down here on the bottom right corner of the screen where it says mouse, and there's 2 numbers, that first number is the X number. If you grab like your main character and move him to the left, if your character's standing over here, the X is like 0 or even a negative number if they're outside the layout. And as your character moves to the right, the X number gets bigger. That second number is the Y. Y represents up and down, top to bottom. The top of the screen is 0. And the bottom of your layout is, in this case, I think it's like probably 2100, something like that. So as your character moves down, their Y number gets bigger. Now the Z number is not actually visible on the screen, but Z represents what's in front and what's behind. You can imagine if X is left and right, and Y is top to bottom, Z is front to back. Because although this is a two-dimensional game, it has the illusion of three-dimensional space, right? Things that are up towards the top of the screen appear to be further away, and things that are down towards the bottom of the screen are moving closer towards us. So things that are lower should be in front, things that are higher should be behind. That idea of behind and in front, that's the Z order. So what we did for this is we created a family, which is a group that has all the visible things on the screen with the exception of shadows. And we created an instance variable called order. That order is what the Z sorting is based off of. And in this event, when we created this action that said family1 set order to self.y, what this means, self is for every object that's in the family. So our main character, our enemies, whatever it might be, the wall, its self Y location. Its Y location is where it is up and down on the screen. So every split second, every tick, it's saying that its order instance variable is set to whatever its own Y value is. So when your player's up here, its Y value is 78. When your player's down here, its Y value is 508. And as it moves down, its Y keeps getting bigger. So it's constantly updating this instance variable to whatever its Y is. And then we said, let's sort the Z order, the front to back order, based on its order variable, which is based on its Y location. So hopefully that makes some sense. We're basically constantly sorting the Z based on where objects are top to bottom. Now, if that doesn't really make sense, you're like, I can't really wrap my head around what that means, don't worry about it that much. The Z order is something we just kind of create once and then don't have to worry about. So it's not something that you need to constantly be manipulating and working with. It's not something that I think you need a deep understanding of. So if it works, then you're good. The only thing I would say though, is we need to keep in mind that from here on out, whenever we add a new object, so say I add a new enemy or an item or something like that, I'm gonna have to go to my family, right click on it, edit family, and add the new object into that family. Otherwise, it won't sort the Z order for that object and it's just always gonna be floating in the front. So we're gonna always put stuff in the family to be Z sorted. So that should do it for today. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.